Uh, so my first hike in the Grand Tetons was Death Canyon, and I thought it was called Death Canyon um, because there was like sheer cliffs on the side, and I thought it was like lots of climbing and like people had died there or fallen off the edge or something like that. But after hiking for about 10 minutes and talking to people and telling me that there were bears around a lot, I started to, and I was by myself, and I still had my bear spray, so I think I was fine. But I did see a sign that said don't walk alone, and I did anyway. So that made me a little nervous. Um, but I was like singing songs to myself and trying to make lots of noise the whole way. And then I ended up getting up like into the clearing out of like the gully of the canyon and finally feeling more comfortable about being able to see my surroundings and not going to get snuck up on by a bear. And I just run out of songs to sing, so I had picked up some rocks and was like hitting them together and whatnot. And then I was like, I don't really need to do this. So I started like juggling the rocks while I was walking and just like playing around. And then next thing I know, I'm going around the ridgeline bend, and there's a mom and two cub black bears on the trail, like, I don't know, 100 feet, 150 feet away. So I was a safe distance, but I was a little freaked out by myself. And yeah, I put some videos on Facebook, so you can see my reaction. But you know, she got up on her hind legs, looked right at me with her ears perked up, and then went down. And I was like, I wanted to watch them for a while, but and initially when I came up behind them, they were going the same direction as me, but they were ahead of me and moving slower than I was. So I stopped and was watching them, and then they knew I was there, and for some reason they turned around and started coming down the trail towards me. So that's when I booked it down the hill. I was not messing around with that. Yeah, so that was fun. So I went over to Victor and visited my buddies Nicole and Corey that I met at Grand Targhee the year before. Awesome people, and thanks so much for letting me crash at your house. And your dogs are awesome. And I was sure glad they let me stay because we ended up getting snow that night. Well, they let me stay there 3 times, really. So the next day I was supposed to go hiking with somebody else I met in Tetons in Jackson. But I tried to go over the pass, the Teton Pass, and it was standstill traffic for over an hour. So I turned around and went back to Victor and and hung out with Corey and Nicole later. I went up to Grand Targhee and kind of did some stuff in like Driggs and Victor for a while during the day while they were at work. And but yeah, luckily I had a place to stay because it was snowing. So the next day, I tried to do the same thing, not with the same person, but go up and hike again because Braden, drunk guy from Jackson, hit me up and was like, "I'm going hiking." And I'm like, I was a little iffy whether or not I should or not, but I did, and I was really glad I did. He was a cool guy for sure. So we were gonna go up to Lake Delta, which was kind of a little bit off the beaten trail, and we ended up meeting some people on the way there that we had to take care of. They were from Alabama, and they weren't very sure-footed, to say the least. Don't get me wrong, it was wet and snowy rocks, so you know it was definitely slick. But you know, Braden and I would have would have ran up that thing, and instead we were going very, very slow. But we also met Gory from Maryland and Dusty from Georgia, and they were much better hikers than the 2 girls from Alabama. And after getting up to Lake Delta and getting back to the trail down, since Lake Delta was a little off the trail, we decided to go up to Amphitheater and Surprise Lake, you know, adding another, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles onto our journey after that whole thing. And so the two girls from Alabama went back down, and the survivors, me, Braden, Gory, and Dusty, made it all the way up to Amphitheater and Surprise Lake, which was also really beautiful. Highly suggest any of those. So after that, I went back to Victor to hang with Corey, and I was really glad I did that time because we got a lot of snow that night. And yeah, I was sure glad to have a place to stay. So again, I got chased out by the snow, and pushed on to Idaho Falls, where I stopped at the Army Supply store and got some wool blankets and some leggings and whatnot. Oh, I forgot. In Jackson, I ended up going to a thrift store and got some ski boots. And in Victor, I ended up getting some skis. That was pretty sweet. My first set of skis, so pretty happy to have those and can't wait to use them. If I had just stuck around a couple more days, I probably could have used them at Targhee. But my I was itching to get on the road again, I guess, so. Anywho, after that I went and stopped at the Craters of the Moon National Monument, and it was hard to get excited about after being in the Tetons, because the Tetons were so awesome, but it was a cool spot to check out, and I'm glad I did. I got to do a little bit of splunking in some caves around there. Beauty Cave was nice and open, and I think it was Indian Cave or something like that. It was also very nice and open. Boy Scout Cave was not very open. It was whatever. It was tight. And I saw on the map before you went down that there was like you could go down one way and get through and then go out a different way. So I was like, I'm gonna go through here, make it through. I'm agile. I'm young. I can do this. No. When I realized I was I was crawling like army crawl, not like hands and knees, like laying on the ground on my belly, army crawling with like, I don't know, 18 inches of clearance. I was like, with my backpack on, I was like, no, this is not happening. I'm getting out of here. So, wouldn't suggest that. But the rest was really cool. And then I went and I camped at some BLM land near a reservoir nearby because it was getting late again. And luckily the lady at the visitor center at the Crater of the Moon told me about it, and actually had to like open a gate for the BLM land, which was weird. Like get out of my car, open a gate, go inside, close the gate. It was like, I don't know. I don't know if it was keep cows in or out or animals or what, but there were cows in there, and there were cows out of there. So I don't really know. A little confusing, but that was about it for week 3 and week 4. A hell of a couple weeks. Have a good one.